Okay, so you're here with us on the deep dive because Europe's on your mind, right? Maybe a trip you're dreaming of or just wanting to finally really get Europe right.
Yeah, Europe's one of those places everyone feels like they know something about.
Right.
There's just so much
Yeah,
there.
masses.
44 countries, each one totally unique.
Landscapes and history and food, you name it.
I mean, we're talking ancient ruins to like the most modern cities and everything in between.
Exactly, and you can get totally overwhelmed trying to make sense of it all. So we did a deep dive for you.
Into a complete tourist guide to Europe, actually.
Yep, pulled out the absolute key
The
stuff,
things you really gotta know.
the foundation to understand Europe geographically, and just like what makes people want to travel there so much, right?
Yeah, without getting lost in the weeds.
No endless details here. So when you picture Europe in your mind right now, like, what's the first thing you see?
Probably a map, right?
Totally.
But it's more than just what shape do the countries make, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the land itself, like the actual ground.
Okay, so think about this. Europe stretches all the way from the Atlantic Ocean over there in the west.
Yeah, all the way over to Russia in the east.
Yep, that's a huge distance. And from the Arctic Circle in the north
Right?
down to the Mediterranean Sea in the south.
Sun and beaches.
So just in that distance alone, you know you're going to get crazy variations.
And we do. Huge mountains, plains, rivers, you name it.
Exactly. Like we can't forget about the Alps.
The Alex, so iconic, right?
Totally. They're like the spine of the continent.
Switzerland, France, Austria, Italy, like they all share a piece of them.
And they've shaped so much about those countries, like the cultures, the weather patterns.
Even like how people move around. Then you've got the Pyrenees kind of tucked away between Spain and France.
Almost like a wall between them.
Right? A natural border, but also historical.
Yeah, full of stories. And then further east, you've got the Carpathians.
Oh, wow, the Carpathians. Those are the mountains that kind of sweep through Eastern Europe, right?
Exactly. And they're every bit as impressive as the Alps.
So we've got these huge mountain ranges, but it's not all peaks and valleys, right?
No way. There are massive plains, too, like the Great European Plain.
I've heard of that one. Why is it so important?
Well, for one thing, it made it easy for people to move around.
Oh, yeah, trade routes and stuff.
Exactly. Armies, too, unfortunately. But it's also where a lot of European cultures, like, mix together.
Became Europe as we know it.
Exactly. And we can't forget the rivers, like the Danube.
The Danube runs through like a zillion countries, doesn't it?
It goes through 10.
10 countries, that's wild.
Yeah, and the Rhine, of course, in Germany and Switzerland.
Both of those rivers have been like super highways for people and goods for centuries, right?
Absolutely shaped the landscape, too, of course.
Okay, so we've got mountains and plains and rivers, and I bet you're going to say coastlines next.
You know it. And so much variety there, too, like sunny Mediterranean beaches and Italy, Spain, Greece.
All totally different vibes, though.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And then the Atlantic coast of Portugal and France.
Way more rugged, right?
Totally different ocean, different weather patterns.
And then there's that whole other sea up north, the Baltic.
Right up there by Germany, Sweden, Poland.
Like a whole different world almost.
Yeah, and it really adds to the diversity of experiences you can have in Europe.
So much variety packed into one continent.
It's amazing. You could spend your whole life traveling Europe and still not see everything.
So true. Okay, so we've got the lay of the land. Now let's zoom in a bit.
All right, let's talk specific countries.
Yeah, like where do most people actually go?
Well, the guide breaks it down by region, which makes sense.
Okay, starting with Western Europe.
The classics.
What are some of the big hitters there?
Well, you almost have to start with France, right?
Oh, yeah, Paris.
The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre.
Notre Dame de Seine.
All those images that just scream Europe, right?
Total romance.
And then just a quick trip outside the city, you've got Versailles.
That palace is insane. Talk about opulence.
Yeah, but then contrast that with the French Riviera,
Nice, Con Monaco.
beaches and luxury.
So many different sides to France.
Exactly. And just across the English Channel, you got the UK.
Another classic, London is just this global powerhouse of history and culture.
Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London.
Big Ben, the British Museum.
You could spend weeks just in London alone.
Easy. But the UK's got so much more to offer than just London.
Oh, absolutely. Edinburgh is incredible with that castle perched on top of an extinct volcano.
And the Royal Mile.
Yeah, so much history there. And then you've got the Lake District.
Gorgeous nature. Perfect for hiking and just getting away from it all.
Yeah, the UK really packs it in.
And then heading east, you've got Germany. Such an interesting mix of like the weight of history and modern life.
Totally. Like in Berlin, you've got the Brandenburg Gate.
Oh, and the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, such a powerful reminder of the past. And then Museum Island is packed with cultural treasures.
And then there's Munich,
Home is Oktoberfest.
but also the BMW Museum for car fans.
And Neuschwanstein Castle.
That castle looks like it's straight out of a fairy tale.
Seriously. And we can't forget about the Black Forest.
The Black Forest. Okay, I'm picturing like dark, mysterious woods with tiny villages hiding in them.
Exactly, like something out of Grimm's fairy tales.
Western Europe is like a greatest hits of European experiences.
It really is. And we haven't even talked about the Netherlands yet.
Amsterdam, those canals are so unique.
Yeah, and they were vital for the city's development.
Oh yeah, trade and all that.
Exactly. And then you've got the Anne Frank House
Such a powerful place.
and the Van Gogh Museum for art lovers.
And if you time it right, you can see the tulip fields in bloom.
Yeah, they're amazing. Blankets of color.
So beautiful. And just south of the Netherlands, you've got Belgium,
Bruges is incredible. Medieval city with canals everywhere.
like a little Amsterdam.
Kind of. And then Brussels has some amazing architecture.
The Grand Place in the Atomium.
It's safe to say Western Europe has something for everyone.
Agreed. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and head south.
To Southern Europe.
Land of sunshine and ancient history.
Exactly. And you can't talk about Southern Europe without talking about Italy.
Italy's like a walking museum.
Rome especially. You've got the Colosseum,
The Vatican.
the Pantheon.
It's like stepping back in time.
Then you've got the Venice, which is just unlike any other city in the world.
The canals, the gondolas.
St. Mark's Basilica.
So romantic.
And then Florence, birthplace of the Renaissance.
The art and architecture there are just mind-blowing.
Absolutely. And right next door, you've got Spain.
Spain has such a vibrant energy to it.
Totally. Barcelona's amazing.
Gaudi's architecture is insane.
Yeah, Sagrada Familia, Park Güell.
And La Rambla.
So much to see and do.
And then Madrid has a totally different feel.
More regal, I'd say, with the Royal Palace and the Prado Museum.
Some of the greatest art in the world is in the Prado.
And then Seville with its flamenco dancing and the Alcazar Palace.
Beautiful.
Yeah, southern Spain has a whole different vibe than the north.
Okay, now we have to hop across the Mediterranean to Greece.
Another country that's just steeped in history.
The Acropolis in Athens.
Yeah, and the Parthenon, those are must-sees for sure.
So iconic.
But Greece also has these incredible islands.
Santorini, those white houses with the blue roofs perched on the cliff.
Picture perfect.
And then Crete has amazing beaches and ancient Minoan ruins.
So much variety.
And we can't forget about Portugal on the western edge of the Iberian Peninsula.
Lisbon is charming with those old trams winding through the streets.
And the Belém Tower.
Yeah, right on the water.
And the Caronimus Monastery is stunning.
Portugal is often overlooked, but it's definitely worth a visit.
Agreed. So much to see and experience in Southern Europe.
It's amazing. Okay, ready to head north?
Let's do it. Northern Europe, here we come.
Land of dramatic landscapes and Vikings.
Okay, so first up we've got Norway, famous for its fjords.
The fjords are incredible, like deep, narrow inlets carved by glaciers.
I've seen pictures, they're breathtaking.
They really are, and they've shaped Norwegian culture so much.
Yeah, you can't live in a place like that without it affecting you.
Exactly. And then there's Oslo, the capital.
The Viking Ship Museum is supposed to be fascinating.
It is, and the Royal Palace is worth a visit, too.
So Norway is nature and history.
In a nutshell. Now just a quick hop across the water is Sweden.
Stockholm is such a cool city.
Yeah, Gamla stan, the old town is beautiful, and the Vasa Museum is really unique.
That's the one with the preserved 17th century warship, right?
Yep, it sank on its maiden voyage.
Oh, no.
But they salvaged it, and now it's a museum.
Wow, what a story.
And then there's Denmark with Copenhagen.
Copenhagen is so charming.
Yeah, Tivoli Gardens is great for families.
And the Little Mermaid statue, of course.
Based on the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale.
Okay, and then way up north, we've got Finland.
Helsinki's is a really interesting city with Suomenlinna Fortress.
Built on a bunch of islands, right?
Yeah, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and then Finnish Lapland is where you go to see the Northern Lights.
Bucket list material for sure.
Absolutely.
Northern Europe really has a unique vibe.
Totally different from South. Okay, ready for our last stop.
Bring on Eastern Europe.
A region that's seen a lot of change in recent history.
Yeah, a lot of complex history there.
But it's becoming an increasingly popular destination for travelers.
Let's start with Poland.
Krakow is a must-see.
Wall Castle's beautiful.
And the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial and Museum is incredibly powerful.
A sobering reminder of the past.
Yeah, but so important to remember and learn from.
Okay, and then just south of Poland, you've got the Czech Republic.
Prague is like a fairy tale city.
Charles Briggs and Prague Castle are so iconic.
They really dominate the skyline.
Okay, and then further south, you've got Hungary.
Budapest is stunning. It sits on both sides of the Danube River.
And the Parliament building is incredible.
Yeah, and the thermal baths are a really unique experience.
I've heard great things about them.
They're so relaxing.
And finally, we've got Romania.
Home of Transylvania.
And Dracula's Castle.
Well, Bran Castle is the one everyone associates with Dracula.
Right, but it's probably not where he actually lived.
Probably not, but it's still a cool place to visit.
Okay, so we've covered all 4 regions of Europe.
And each one is so different.
My head is spinning.
And we haven't even talked about the food yet.
Oh my gosh, the food. Okay, let's do a quick rundown of some of the must-try dishes in Europe.
All right, buckle up.
We're starting with Italy, of course.
Pizza, pasta, tiramisu, the holy trinity of Italian cuisine.
I could eat that every day.
Who couldn't? And then in France, you've got croissants escargot.
And crepes.
So versatile, savory or sweet.
Okay, and then Germany, bratwurst pretzels, sauerkraut.
The classics.
Perfect for a beer garden.
And then Spain has paella, tapas, churros.
Paella is one of my favorite dishes.
It's so good.
Okay, Greece,
Moussaka, souvlaki, baklava.
also flavorful.
And then the UK has fish and chips and shepherd's pie.
Comfort food.
And Belgium is all about waffles, chocolate, and fries.
Fries.
Yeah, they're serious about their fries in Belgium.
Who knew? Okay, and then Poland has pierogi and kielbasa.
So good.
And Hungary has goulash.
Perfect for a cold winter day.
Oh man, now I'm starving.
Me too. It's amazing how food is so tied to culture in Europe.
It's like you can taste the history.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about where to go and what to eat.
Now, how do we get around?
Europe's got you covered.
Let's talk transportation.
So for longer distances, flying is usually the most efficient option.
And budget airlines have made it so affordable.
Yeah, Ryanair, EasyJet, those are your friends.
But if you want a more scenic route,
The train system in Europe is amazing.
and you can get a Eurail pass if you're planning on doing a lot of train travel.
It's a great deal. And they have high-speed trains, too.
Oh yeah, like the TGV in France.
The ICE in Germany.
And the AV in Spain.
Super fast and comfortable.
But if you're on a tighter budget,
Buses are a good option. Flixbus and Eurolines are popular.
and if you want to explore at your own pace,
Renting a car is the way to go, especially for those scenic drives like the Amalfi Coast in Italy.
or the Scottish Highlands.
Yeah, those are bucket list road trips.
And once you're in a city,
Public transportation is usually fantastic. Metros, trams, buses.
it's so easy to get around.
Europe is super well connected.
Okay, so we've got the transportation figured out.
Now let's talk about some essential travel tips.
The stuff that will make your trip go smoothly.
Starting with visas.
Ooh, visas.
Yeah, they can be a hassle, but for a lot of nationalities, you can get a Schengen visa.
Which lets you travel to a bunch of different countries in Europe, right?
27 to be exact. But it's important to remember that not every country is in the Schengen area.
Oh, right, like the UK and Ireland.
And some Eastern European countries, too, so always double-check the visa requirements before you go.
Good advice. Okay, now let's talk timing. When is the best time to visit Europe?
Well, it depends on what you're looking for. Spring and autumn are usually great.
Fewer crowds and nice weather.
Yeah, perfect for sightseeing. Summer is great for beaches.
But it's going to be crowded and expensive.
Definitely. And winter is perfect for skiing or Christmas markets.
So magical.
Okay, now let's talk money. The euro is the most common currency in Europe.
But not everywhere uses it right.
Right, the UK uses the pound.
Switzerland uses the franc.
And some other countries have their own currencies, too.
So it's good to be prepared. Credit cards are widely accepted,
But it's always smart to have some local cash on hand.
just in case.
Okay, now let's talk language. English is spoken pretty widely in Europe.
Especially in tourist areas.
But it's always a good idea to learn a few basic phrases in the local language.
Even just hello and thank you can go a long way.
It shows respect and people appreciate it.
Okay, and lastly, let's talk safety. Europe is generally a very safe place to travel,
But you still need to be aware of your surroundings.
especially in crowded areas.
Yeah, pickpockets are always a concern.
And it's a good idea to have travel alerts just in case.
Definitely, peace of mind is worth it.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground today.
We have, from geography to must-see attractions.
To food, transportation, and essential travel tips.
We've given you everything you need to start planning your European adventure.
Or just to impress your friends with your newfound knowledge of Europe.
Exactly.
So as you continue your exploration of Europe, we want to leave you with this thought. What historical period or cultural movement in Europe really fascinates you?
Yeah, and how could you plan a trip around that specific interest?
It's something to think about.
Happy travels!